Yeah.
So he's very young. He's very young, and sometimes fights like that can destroy you, your career, your confidence, and everything. We don't know what he's going to be like when he gets beat. Imagine he might just say, "I don't want to do it again." You just don't know how a fighter is going to react.
In the pomp of his career, you know, there's nobody in the world right now apart from Oleksandr Usyk, Tyson Fury, who he couldn't pick holes.
Really, because Herjavec showed me a terrific chin. I don't know. I'd love to see if that chin could hold up to this kid.
Boxing pros couldn't help but laugh when the idea of Moses Itauma facing Oleksandr Usyk came up. Many fighters, trainers, and analysts quickly shut down the chances of the young heavyweight prospect pulling off a miracle against one of the sport's most skilled champions. While Itauma has shown promise at such an early stage of his career, the thought of him stepping into the ring with Usyk right now has been met with disbelief, strong warnings, and even humor from boxing's biggest voices.
Do you want to see Moses with Oleksandr Usyk next, or too soon?
No, calm down. Let's get him in with Hergovic, Caballal, those kind of guys, Bacoli, Jarrell Miller. Get the rounds, you know, but he's a brilliant talent.
The talk of Itauma fighting Usyk spread after speculation about who might be next for the Ukrainian star. Usyk, known for his incredible boxing IQ, movement, and dominance across weight divisions, remains one of the most respected fighters on the planet. For Itauma, a 19-year-old with less than a handful of professional bouts, even being mentioned in the same breath as Usyk is a compliment, but according to veterans of the sport, the idea of him being anywhere near ready for such a challenge is unrealistic.
People's opinions don't really matter to me, only because it doesn't help me in the fight. There's a lot of things that my punching can't solve.
Oleksandr Usyk, would you prefer to spend time with him in his training camp for his next fight, or fight him next?
Fight him next, then spend time with him.
April, May, it's Dubois, or April, May, it's Usyk. You say immediately yes?
Amir Khan was also the one to weigh in. Having faced some of the toughest names in boxing during his career, Khan knows the gap between a rising prospect and an elite world champion. He didn't mince words about it, saying Itauma's time will come, but right now, facing Usyk would be far too much. Khan's view reflects what many believe, that Itauma's potential is clear, but boxing is a sport where experience, timing, and levels matter more than raw talent. Jumping in with someone like Usyk at this stage could do more harm than good to a career that is just getting started.
I'd put him in next with Hergovic, and then I'll put him in after that with Parker.
Too soon for Usyk?
Very soon for very soon for Usyk. I don't think he should take that fight just yet. Give it another 12 to 18 months for that fight.
Definitely. But Amir,
he's only 20, you have to understand. What's he going to be 22 when he fights Usyk? Come on.
Yeah, I think he's 21 in December, isn't he? 21 in December, I think he is.
December, yeah. So he's very young. And sometimes fights like that can destroy you, your career, your confidence, and everything. We don't know what he's going to be like when he gets beat. Imagine he might just say, "I don't want to do it again." You just don't know how a fighter is going to react. So why put him in that position where he's going to get beaten?
Others were even more blunt. Derek Chisora, never shy about sharing his opinion, gave a direct warning to Itauma. He made it clear that Usyk is not the kind of fighter you test yourself against early in your career. Chisora, who has been in the ring with Usyk himself, explained that the champion's skill set is simply on another level. According to Chisora, even seasoned heavyweights struggle to land cleanly on Usyk, let alone beat him. For a teenager like Itauma, who is still finding his feet in the professional ranks, it would be a mountain too steep to climb.
Is it Oleksandr Usyk, or is that too soon?
Leave Usyk alone. Usyk's a beast, man. Different beast. Different beast.
Former champion Ricky Hatton echoed the same thoughts. He pointed out that while Itauma has the size, power, and youth to one day make waves in the heavyweight division, the leap to fighting someone of Usyk's caliber right now is far too big. He said, "They're talking about Usyk next. Whoa, let's just hold fire there just a little bit. Usyk will only have a couple more fights. If you look at the heavyweights coming through, it's wide open for Itauma, and I think he can clear up. Fabio Wardley or Fraser Clark are good domestic fights." Tony Bellew, who also knows Usyk firsthand from their clash at cruiserweight, was just as firm. He explained that people underestimate how much skill, patience, and experience it takes to deal with Usyk in the ring. Bellew highlighted Usyk's ability to adjust, frustrate opponents, and break them down mentally before physically finishing the fight. For him, throwing Itauma into such a situation at this stage would be reckless. Bellew sees Itauma as a bright prospect, but nowhere near the finished product required to face someone of Usyk's brilliance.
Mike Tyson was 20 years and 5 months when he wins the heavyweight championship of the world. Don't take anything away from Moses Itauma. He could have done that to Dillian in the pomp of his career. You know, there's nobody in the world right now, apart from Oleksandr Usyk, Tyson Fury, who he couldn't pick hold.
The promoters and boxing media added their voices too. Many described Itauma as a perfect opponent to build hype, but admitted that's more from a marketing angle than a competitive one. In truth, the matchup is viewed as unrealistic because Itauma is still years away from proving himself against the likes of Filip Hrgovic, Daniel Dubois, or even other fringe contenders, let alone the champion himself. They pointed out that Itauma's actual path right now involves facing opponents like Hrgovic in the near future, which makes much more sense for his development. These are the stepping stone fights that will test his skills while keeping his career on track.
He's in for a chance of winning that fight without a shadow of a doubt. He probably has the best chance of anybody to beat Oleksandr Usyk.
Right now?
Yes, of any other heavyweight. There isn't a heavyweight out there, in my opinion, that has a better chance than him of winning that fight.
Still, the speculation persists because Itauma has been very vocal about wanting to be the youngest heavyweight champion in history. That ambition has kept his name in conversations around the sport, even against fighters as established as Usyk. But while the confidence is admirable, the boxing community insists that goals like that require careful planning. Taking on Usyk too soon, they argue, would be rushing into a storm that no young fighter could possibly handle.
A lot of these fighters are not going to want to fight him, not because they're scared of him, but they've clearly seen what talent he has. Where does he go next? I don't know. I mean, you chuck him in with Usyk, why not? I mean, I wouldn't if I was looking after him, because he's going to grow and get better. He's not going to get worse. He's not going to regress. If he gets outboxed by somebody, like schooled outboxed, which Usyk can do that to anybody potentially, that might dent his confidence enough to not making the same fight again, as a brutal knockout can for him and other people.
Joshua Buatsi also explored the idea, noting how fans are curious to see if Itauma could one day grow into the kind of fighter capable of challenging the very best. But even they admitted that one day is not the same as today. Right now, the gulf between Itauma and Usyk is enormous. Usyk has beaten names like Anthony Joshua and Tyson Fury, cementing himself as one of the best pound-for-pound fighters alive. Itauma, by contrast, is still learning how to pace himself in longer fights, how to deal with experienced opposition, and how to sharpen the details of his game.
Boxing is a sport where there's two hands, two legs, but I think that the experience Usyk has got right now, I wouldn't say so. Again, I'm not a boxing expert, but we're talking about someone that's unified two divisions, and I think he's unified the heavyweight division twice. So let's be honest, we're not talking about any guy that's just holding one belt. This is, again, the best of the best. So let's be realistic again. But in the same way, I'm not a manager, but I'm not a promoter or whatever it is.
But you can see the talent of the kid, right?
Absolutely, it's undeniable. The way we're watching him against White, how relaxed he was on the technique and how perfect the shot selection was. Hats off to him, man.
Many experts in boxing have emphasized how a Usyk-Itauma fight would be little more than a mismatch at this stage. The narrative was clear. While the hype surrounding Itauma is exciting, fans shouldn't confuse potential with readiness. Facing journeymen and mid-tier fighters is one thing. Facing a master of the sport like Usyk is a different reality altogether. This is why the laughter from pros and experts has been so loud. They see the gap as impossible to bridge right now.
But at first, people out there will. I'd like to see him with Hrgovic. Really, because Hrgovic showed me a terrific chin. I don't know. I'd love to see if that chin could hold up to this kid. And I'll tell you right now, I don't know if any chin can. So that's where Hrgovic might have to be taught before that fight a little defense or more defense. But having said that, Hrgovic, a big guy, an experienced guy, a guy who's right there as far as top heavyweights. Before you go to any title fight, I'd love to see that fight.
For Usyk himself, such talk is unlikely to mean much. As the reigning heavyweight king, his focus remains on legacy fights, unification bouts, and defending his belts against proven challengers. Itauma, while talented, doesn't yet fit that mold. It would be difficult to sell the matchup as competitive, and while it might bring attention due to the novelty of a young challenger, the risk-to-reward ratio makes little sense for Usyk at this stage of his career.
Just Usyk, I mean, that's the question now is... I get it. On Parker's a fight I wanted to see Usyk in since he became a heavyweight, because Parker's one of those few heavyweights. He's got the IQ. He can match him. Yeah. But if I only got one more fight out of Usyk before he hangs up, I'm gonna pick the Itauma fight for the simple reason.
Yeah.
When I turn on the pay-per-view that night, I'm more excited to watch Itauma Usyk than I would love to watch Usyk and Parker. It's a great fight. But if I can only pick one, and it's one that really is gonna get me all month, I'm thinking about it, all fight week, I'm going back, I'm talking about it, it's the Itauma fight.
Even so, Itauma's name being linked to Usyk shows how quickly he has risen in terms of visibility. Very few teenagers in boxing are talked about in the same sentence as champions of this level. That in itself is an achievement. But for now, the voices of Khan, Chisora, Hatton, and Bellew serve as reality checks. All of them believe Itauma needs time to grow, time to face challenges step by step, and time to turn promise into proven ability.
You must have a view of what level you're at now.
If you want my honest opinion, I
do.
If my skill set, if you're talking about my ring IQ and what I display in the ring, I feel like I am the best in the world, but I haven't displayed the later rounds. That's all what I kind of want to get ticked off. So my next opponent or opponents this year, we're just looking at fights to kind of get me into that later round, because I feel like with Usyk, I feel like I've got a better skill set than him, but I feel like towards the later rounds, he'll just outdo me, because I've never been in that sort of fight.
The boxing world thrives on hype, and sometimes that hype creates matchups that make little sense competitively but grab attention anyway. In the case of Usyk versus Itauma, the attention is there, but the reality is hard to ignore. Usyk is at the top of the mountain, while Itauma is just starting the climb. The gap between the two is so wide that even the most optimistic observers admit there's no realistic way for Itauma to win right now.
I had 6 amateur fights, and then I was thrown into pro camps. I was baptized in fire. I had to be built up on the pro scene. Like, I had to be built, I had to learn on the job. This kid, Itauma, I'm gonna be honest, he doesn't need to have his hand held. He doesn't need to be built. Yo, let this kid off the fucking leash. And I'm not saying this to damage his career or nothing, but if there's somebody that can give Usyk some work for real, that will get the crowd excited, that will be good for both fighters, is this fight. Why? Because there's only 2 outcomes of this fight.
In the end, the laughter from the boxing pros says it all. They're not laughing at Itauma's talent, but at the idea that he could seriously take on one of the greatest fighters in the world at this point in his career. The teenager has time on his side, and if he continues to develop, perhaps one day he will stand across the ring from someone like Usyk. But today is not that day, and trying to force it would be a mistake.
I just think it's stupidity if Moses Itauma's team let him take that fight. If some people feel Itauma's good enough now to put him in, you know, he's never been punched. What's he going to do when Usyk's tying him up in knots and punching him from angles he's never seen before? I think it's, unfortunately for me, I think to get that fight at the right time, Usyk will be long gone and sailed off into the sunset. If it happens now, I think Usyk stops him quickly.
So while the headlines grab attention and the speculation makes for entertaining debate, the conclusion from boxing's insiders remains clear. Itauma may be a future star, but against Oleksandr Usyk right now, there's simply no way. If you enjoyed this breakdown, make sure to like the video, drop your thoughts in the comments, and share it with other fight fans. And don't forget to subscribe to Ring Rivalry so you never miss the latest news, predictions, and deep dives from the world of boxing.